After completing this lesson, you will be able to create models and create deliverables. The Weldment is a specialized environment inside of Autodesk Inventor. It's based on the assembly, and on the Environments tab, you can convert an assembly to a weldment. In the process of converting the assembly, you'll select the standard that you want to use for your weld and the weld bead material. Once the conversion takes place, you'll see that there are 3 different processes: preparation, welds, and machining. We'll begin with preparation. When we select this, you'll see that the preparation and machining panel highlights. This is used to apply features to the models that only exist in the Weldment environment. For example, setting up a chamfer. Select the edge of the part, and it adds the chamfer. As I mentioned, this only exists in the Weldment environment. If you were to open the source file up for those 2 components, there would be no chamfer. Let's add another chamfer to the bottom of this green plate. Now we're ready to begin applying welds. Entering the weld process, we see we have several different types of weld. The one we'll be primarily working with is a fillet weld. A fillet weld has a few different options. One, you can set more than one size for the fillet weld, and then you begin applying. First, we'll select the face of the hole, and then select the chamfer. When we hit apply, it will add a weld to the hole. We'll repeat the process, selecting a first face and then a second. Now there can be more than one face selected for each set, but for our model, we only need the one. Now let's click OK. And let's apply a groove weld. A groove weld will fill in space. It can fill in a radial space, or in this case, we'll again use face sets, picking the first face set as the chamfer and the second as the fillet and top face of the main plate. Then we need to set a direction. This will create a chamfer that not only fills the space, but wraps around to make sure there's full engagement. Let's apply another set of fillet welds. We'll make it simpler, just adding 2 millimeters, but we can also build in a contour. For example, we can build a convex contour with a small offset. I'll select the cylinder for my first face set, and then select the top and bottom for my second face sets. From the preview, I can see the offset might be a little large. I can change that and click OK to apply the fillet welds. Now that my welds are done and the preparations are finished, we can go on to machining. We'll be adding holes through some of the bosses. You would not want to add these holes before welding because of the distortion. So we'll add a hole feature. First to the top of the blue boss, we'll add a clearance hole for a metric bolt. This one we want to be an M8. We'll apply that and then add a hole centered on this boss with the clearance hole for an M6. So now the work inside the Weldment environment is finished. We can return back up to the top level of the Weldment and now begin creating a drawing. We'll select a base view and make sure that we're getting the correct view of our model. With the scale set, the next task is to take a look at the Model State tab and see that this is the machining view of the weldment. This shows the complete detailed information. If we selected assembly, it would go back to the pre-weldment, pre-preparation state. Then of course we have the welds, which will show the welds before the machining. So we'll start with machining here and just place another view. We can of course complete any annotation that's needed, and it works just like any other drawing that you would have in Inventor. Let's add another sheet, and this time let's create a base view with a model state of the welds. Now we can see that the machined holes are not in place. We can add specialized symbols such as welding symbols. We can say that we want it welded all the way around on both sides. We can specify the size and click OK. Now I can place another base view. This time, I'll go to Model State, and under Preparation, I can choose what individual part file I want to detail. I can set up the position of the view, the scale, and just like any other drawing file, you can add all the dimensions and all the details you like. But again, this chamfer is unique to the weldment and therefore needs to be documented as part of the weldment. One last feature of the weldment environment is the ability to go into the weldment itself, find the welds, and with the beads folder, you can right-click and get the properties of just the weld material.